Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What is going on, guys? It is Daniel. We are back here again today. And today we're going to be reacting to this dawah video. This is by Smile to Jannah. And I will say, I found that Smile to Jannah is one of my favorite Islamic YouTube channels I've found so far. I think this guy is very witty. I love his approach. And I think his level of knowledge is also very impressive. So in this video in particular, he is having a conversation with a guy here who is in the Baha'i faith. For those of you that don't know the Baha'i, this was started, I believe, in the 19th century by an Iranian man who was a Shia Sufi. And he proclaimed himself to be a prophet. And he's, the belief is basically that they say all religions are from God, and they all say the same thing, and they're all true. And this Baha'i faith is the one to unify everything, and it's the religion of the future. So this is, as you can imagine, it's a problematic position to take, at least from the Islamic perspective. And so here we're going to just listen to our brother here kind of break it down and talk to this guy, and they can talk out their differences. I think this should be a pretty interesting conversation, so let's get into it.
So,
talking about infallibility, so we understand that the messengers of God...
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's just going to come down to it's the process. You get elected and it's the process, and the process causes it. So I think I've made my point, isn't it? I think you've understood it as well, that I'm saying that it logically doesn't make sense.
Let me ask you a question, though.
I just want to say, what is going on over here? What is this guy doing? We don't know.
In Islam today,
maybe he's praying,
especially in Sunni, what is the correct interpretation in terms of which people should follow? Because at the moment, everything is so divided, even within the Muslim communities, not just within Sunni Islam, Shia Islam as well, and so on. The reason why Baha'u'llah has created this structure is so that the Baha'is won't be split.
He said created this what?
The reason why Baha'u'llah has created...
And for Baha'u'llah is the name of the guy that started this religion. So he said the reason that Baha'u'llah has created this what?
This structure.
Fracture? Fracture?
The Baha'is won't be split off into different sects, right? There has been...
There's no sex in Baha'i.
There have been attempts, and they are, but the mainstream...
Kaleem, listen to yourself though.
Sure.
You're saying that Baha'u'llah has come because there are sects in Islam. And then I
haven't said because there's sects in Islam. I believe that...
No, he literally just said that, no? He said the reason that Baha'u'llah created this is so that there's no sects within... Well, but we don't really know what he said. I actually couldn't understand him.
That's a point that you were making though, isn't it? You're saying that it's divided, it's splintered, there's groups. So Baha'u'llah has come to unify people, isn't it?
To unify people, but also to understand that prophecies in all religions have been fulfilled with the coming of Baha'u'llah. It's not just for the Muslims, but it's for the Hindus.
But do you see what the issue with the groups thing was?
He just said that Baha'u'llah's coming is a prophecy of the Islamic religion. I would love to see his... how do you back that up? What prophecy? What Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, says, I have perfected your religion. This was his final sermon, right? He said, I have perfected your religion. So how can it be perfect and then also need something else on top? That's illogical.
That if the issue with the groups thing is that you've admitted that, okay, Baha'u'llah had to come, and Baha'u'llah has come, and now, there's still groups there.
Sure, there's the Baha'i faith...
But his job's not done then, isn't it?
It's not done. It's only 200 years old, the faith, the religion. And we believe as Baha'is, we're going through the birth pangs of a new world order. We believe that the world is disintegrating, and you can see that in the world with the amount of violence, persecution, and so on. When in reality, as Baha'is, we see that the only way towards a better world is the realization that the earth is but one country and mankind are citizens. That the essence of all religions are one. When I say essence, I say that the essence of all of it is one and the same.
It's just gobbledygook. The essence of all religions is one. It's completely not true. It's completely not true. I mean, if you look at look at paganism. They practice ritual, like blood rituals, and also define religion. This man needs to define religion. He said the essence of all religions is the same. Okay, define religion. If I'm a Satanist, the essence of my religion is very different than a Muslim, very different than a Christian. I might worship the creation while a Muslim or a Christian is worshiping the Creator. So how can you say that the essence of all religions is one and the same? It's just like it's kind of this. It's like he's preaching tolerance. It's like this. Oh, it's everything is. You're all correct. Everyone's correct. You know, it's like this really unoffensive. It's this really unoffensive position to take. So you can say, oh well, no, your religion's correct, and also your religion's correct, and also your religion's correct, but also mine's correct. This is impossible. Not everyone could be right. This is like when kids have a contest, and then everyone gets an award. What's the point? Well, what's the point of competing if everyone gets the award?
Say the time is different from each other. As Baha'is,
You mentioned essence, which is brilliant, and I want to take a segue from that.
Sure.
When it comes to essence, let's get to the essence of this.
Sure.
What has Baha'u'llah brought us
Sure.
that Islam hasn't?
Interesting. So we have to understand the context of the time of Islam and Christianity and Judaism. We'll focus on Islam. The context of the time of Islam, that a lot of the people at that time would not think like us today, right? So we understand, for example, through science, that the world is
You've
round.
made a mistake already. You're saying at that time Islam, we believe, is of all times.
I understand that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's correct. I believe that as well.
Okay.
But do you believe that the mentality of the people
Again, so he's saying Islam is right, and that it's correct for all times, but also we need to accept a different religion other than Islam that necessarily contradicts Islam. Doesn't make any sense.
at that time is the same.
Okay.
But do you believe that the mentality of the people at that time is the same time as today?
Mentality of no time is the same. In fact, the mentality when I entered the park is different to the mentality I have now.
Sure, but the mentality.
That's a good point.
Sure, but the mentality.
yeah.
I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying, and you're completely right. But the mentality when you came out.
Yeah.
I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying, and you're completely right. But the mentality when you came out from the park, the majority of people believe that the world is round. When you came into the park, it's the same. Believe the mentality that the world is round. What I'm trying to say is that the times of the age of that people, they still thought the earth was flat. They didn't even understand people lived in other countries, let alone their own villages. This is why the concept of progressive revelation, as Baha'is, we put forward. We say that religion has to be progressive and that we cannot.
So the point of Islam is to teach people that the earth is round and that there's other countries. What's his point here?
Put our minds back into the past. Baha'u'llah says this. He says, and then you can respond to it. He says that the all-knowing physician, he calls the messengers of God, manifestations, physician. The all-knowing physician hath its finger on the pulse of mankind. He perceiveth in his unerring wisdom the remedy, the disease, and prescribeth the remedy. Every age hath its own problem, and every individual his own particular aspiration. The remedy in which the world needeth cannot be the same as that of a subsequent age may require. Be anxiously concerned of the needs of the age you live in, and centre your deliberations upon its exigencies and requirements.
What?
The remedy in which the world needeth cannot be the same as that of a subsequent age may require.
Okay, so what the world needs in one age is different than what it needs in the next age. Sometimes, but I wouldn't say necessarily that's always true. I mean, for example, greed could be a problem of one age, and then some time could go by, and in another age, you have the same issue of greed.
Be anxiously concerned of the needs of the age you live in, and centre your deliberations upon its exigencies and requirements. Meaning that today in this world that we live in is a completely different time to the past. We have the instruments, the technology that you have in front of me and so on, to unite the world as one human family. But the only problem is that materialism and division has seeped into the world and so on. So Baha'u'llah has come to say the earth is but one country and mankind is citizens. He has created a design to unite all the peoples into one universal cause and one common faith. And we say this time is a completely different time to the time of Moses, of Buddha, of Krishna, and may peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad. So yeah.
So unite in what though? Unite in what? And our brother here, he posed a good question to start this whole conversation off. What is different between Baha'i and Islam? And so far he hasn't given really anything. He said, actually what he said is similarities. Like Muhammad, peace be upon him, brought the religion of Islam for everyone, for all the future. So basically what he's saying is the same. We already have this concept in Islam.
I'm going to ask you again, what has Baha'u'llah brought that's different?
So
At the
yeah.
moment, everything you've said
Yeah.
it's included in Islam. You haven't brought anything new,
Exactly.
anything substantial, anything that's like, whoa, that's
And
different.
My
Oh, sorry, an improvement.
an improvement. Okay, so Baha'u'llah has written over 100 volumes of books, each one equal.
So give me a teaching of Baha'u'llah that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and that the Quran does not have. That will change. That will improve my life.
that will improve your life. The concept of the earth is but one country, mankind is citizens. The understanding of a global society, global world.
I don't think you need me to tell you the copious verses and hadith that reflect those exact sentiments.
I agree with it, but it goes back to what I'm trying to say is that a design to unify mankind. Prophet Muhammad didn't bring that.
He did.
He brought a design. He brought a design to unify the whole world.
The concept of the ummah is exactly that.
I understand that.
What-
But don't
what-
you believe that somebody from the ummah will come and guide people? It talks about in the Quran itself.
We're not talking about
about
guide. We're not talking
more
about
messengers will come,
We're not talking about guiding at the moment. At the moment, you're saying this concept of universality.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a concept that is unique to Islam in the sense that we are an ummah, number one.
Okay.
Number two, when we're praying salah, a king, a pauper, a child, a woman in the same building. In fact, the king, the pauper, whoever it is, they're standing shoulder to shoulder. We are going to Hajj together. If that is not something, and again, majority of the Muslims, I'd say, correct me if I'm wrong, at least the Sunnis are about 1.5 billion. So when the Muslims start going for Taraweeh prayers, which is for Ramadan prayers, you can see the unity of the Muslims.
Of course.
When the Muslims go for Hajj, people know the Muslims are going for Hajj.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, when Muslims give zakat, newspapers like the Daily Mail have to say that this religion pays the most.
I understand.
So when it comes to this, Kaleem, the universality principle of the Ummah
yeah.
is something which is present in Islam and which is something that makes Islam special.
Yeah, I want. I know, I totally agree.
So that's why I'm saying something that's not mentioned. Like surely look, if it's a totally new revelation,
Sure.
you should come with a totally new idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Islam, giving the concept of zakat, 2.5% obligatory of your
Sure.
annual savings.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a new concept. Yeah. Yes, it may be
That was introduced in the past, though.
2.5% of your
Well,
annual savings obligatory going to the ummah.
money, but the concept of zakat itself was introduced in the past.
Let me give you an
by
example.
Umar and so on, and as they spread
By who?
through in the past.
Let me give you an
by
example.
Umar and so on, and as they spread through conquest, the concept of zakat and charity and things like that was universal. It was practiced within the Ummah as well, though, right?
No, what I'm saying is this was introduced by the Quran and the Sunnah originally from the original texts. What you're talking about is Umar, the Caliph, the second Caliph, peace be upon him, may Allah be pleased with him. He then spread that idea such that people had to start adhering to it if they were
It's not a new idea.
in Muslim lands.
It's not a new idea.
Okay, then Kaleem, you need to tell me which other religion, ideology says it's obligatory for you to pay 2.5% of your annual savings, and that will go uniquely to the believing men and the women.
I understand that. We have the concept of hukuk as saying,
This guy avoid the, the question, man. He just pinpointed him down in the corner, and he goes, "Yeah, I understand that," and then changes the topic. No, you didn't answer the question, homie.
in the Baha'i faith, but the concept of giving
Hukuk are
to
rights.
charity. Yeah, I
Hukuks
understand.
are rights.
Yeah,
This, Kaleem, the reason why I'm emphasizing on this is because it is unique. I will speak to people of other faiths, it won't get challenged. That's why if you're to challenge it, and I'll welcome it, but do it like...
No, I understand. Thank you so much, brother, for that. But let me ask you, do you believe that the Muslim world is united right now?
I believe that the Muslim world is united, yes.
You believe it's
yes.
united. So all this, you might go into politics on by this. So all this, like, you know, the Shias and the Sunnis.
Yes, we're united.
You're united.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
So when in the Middle East that Sunnis are killing Shias and Shias are killing Sunnis.
Killing doesn't mean that they're doing it just for religion and they're just doing it for creedal reasons.
But some of them believe emphatically that there is a correct interpretation. Like, for example, in some states, somebody might say, if I say something bad about the companions, they could be killed.
Yes.
And if somebody in another country said there's something bad about the imama, they could be slaughtered.
I've understood what you've said.
Yeah. They are not united, my friends. They're not.
I'm going to tell you, and then you're going to have to take those words back. Because you didn't ask me what I mean by united. That was your mistake. What I mean is creedally. And even when we were having the discussion there, you agreed with me. Creedally, we are united. One God. Sure. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Quran. This is unity. Now, Kaleem,
that's the same with us as well.
That's why I said you have to take your words back.
United as well.
That's why I would say that. But these other differences, I believe, Kaleem, if we are to speak on a frank basis for long enough, I believe that we will end this discussion with being unified as well. Because what it is sometimes it's the people that are around us, it's what we hear, it's the arguments that we've heard, it's the baggage that we have from community and society. But if we go to first principles and we understand things bare bones, then we have to realize that, you know what, this does make sense.
I get you, but the priests,
Yeah, basically this guy's arguing that because there is this division within Islam, Islam itself necessarily has a problem. That's doesn't make sense. It's not a good argument, because just because the foundation being the Quran and the Sunnah, just because the foundation that we have is perfect, does not mean that the Ummah will be perfect. The Ummah is made of humans, and humans are not perfect, of course. Like you mentioned, you have culture influence, you have family influence, you have all these things that come together that can cause mistakes and can cause shortcomings, can cause misunderstandings. So for him to say that because there are these sects and these divisions within Islam, that Islam itself necessarily has a problem is just not true. And actually within the Quran it tells us not to have sex. That sounded funny. Within the Quran it tells us not to divide and create sex, right? So actually we already have this issue solved. We already have the foundation for this issue. Whether or not people are going to execute that is on them. It's not about the religion. This is an issue of people.
Moms, like for example, let's take the war. Okay, we're gonna get political talking about this, but you've got a war happening between two Muslim countries in the Middle East. Like Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Kaleem, tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
They're using another Muslim country.
Tell me if I'm wrong. But wars will continue to the Day of Judgment.
Yeah, but that's why I say the Day of Judgment is coming up.
Will they continue?
I believe the Day of Judgment is when the latest messenger and manifestation of God arrives and abrogates the laws of the past.
Will he come?
Yes, so as Baha'is, we believe Baha'u'llah has come.
I thought he had come and then he passed away.
He has passed away. Didn't Prophet Muhammad, with the physical body, pass away as well?
No, we're not talking about the Prophet Muhammad. I'm talking about Baha'u'llah. I genuinely thought he'd passed away. I'm not taking a dig. I just genuinely believe that because you said the 9 are alive,
Yeah.
I thought maybe Baha'u'llah is alive.
No, no,
I don't
no,
know.
no.
I don't know.
He passed away in the 1800s. But yeah, we believe
How did
that
he pass away?
he died on his bed in old age. He was persecuted most of his life. He ended up in.
But he died a
black
natural death?
pits. Natural death through like years of absolute hardships and suffering. Being
That's
exiled
every
of
prophet, like
Iran.
you said.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
prophet has gone through. And Baha'u'llah talks about this. He says the ancient beauty have consented to be bound in chains
Kaleem.
so that mankind may be released from its bondage.
Okay, let's come back to this point. So again, we haven't pinned down something which is completely unique. The concept of zakat is not present in that sense in the other religions.
Sure.
If you look at pilgrimage, the process of pilgrimage is unique to Islam. That's why you have salah, zakat, fasting for 30 days the way Muslims do it. It's
Fast as
unique.
well.
Is
We
it
have
done?
We have a 19-day fast as well.
Well, that's why I'm
So we fast as well.
Let me ask you a question. Do you
so
believe-
just
go,
to
go, finish.
yeah, because I genuinely want to know what makes what you guys have bought that's different and unique
Completely
unequivocally.
Okay, so first let me ask you a quick question. Do you believe the
When is he going to answer this question?
messengers, manifestations of God, have the ability to abrogate the laws of the past?
What do you mean?
So, for example, Christ and Muhammad abrogated the law of
No.
the Sabbath.
No.
So they don't have. So they
They,
actually.
by definition, they're a messenger of God. They
Yeah.
do what God tells them to do.
There we go. So exactly as Baha'is, we say exactly the same. God tells them. So we believe that Baha'u'llah has abrogated certain laws of the past.
Okay, that's fine, but what has he bought that's special? That's what I want to know,
So
Kaleem.
again, this system to bring everybody into unity. The concept as well.
You've got
when-
something here, by the way.
sorry.
Because we're on camera, I don't want you to be
Yeah,
upset
no worries.
afterwards.
No
Because you know, sometimes I'm filming and I've got
yeah.
something lodged in my hair. I was like, I wish somebody told
It's
me.
all right, bro. It's fine.
Yeah. No, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone.
Boogie down my nose. So,
Excuse me.
yeah. So also, Baha'u'llah's talked about, and I know you're going to say, well, in Islam, we spoke about this, but specifically in
But
the
Kaleem,
Baha'i
I'm
faith,
only going to say
the
it's there in
equality of men
Islam.
and women has spoke about.
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
only going to mention
Justice,
something. Like, look, if you say,
the harmony of
Yeah.
science and religion,
Look,
which has never been
look,
taught about.
if
That's completely new.
you say in the Baha'i faith we do X,
Sure,
and I say in Islam we do X as well,
sure.
and we don't, it's easy for you to say, Zishan, you don't do that.
Yeah, I get
So when you're anticipating that I'm going to say, yeah, but in Islam we do that as well, then don't mention that. Mention something that's unique. Because, you know, here's what we're saying, Kaleem. We believe that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the final
I get you.
Khataman Nabiyyin,
Nabiyin,
Yeah.
as we believe
And
to
the
be
Rasul.
same. We don't believe it to
yeah,
be Rasul.
but that's what I'm saying though. We believe
Yeah.
that the Prophet Muhammad is Khataman Nabiyyin. He's the,
100%.
yeah,
And there's the problem. So he's saying, yeah, Islam is right, but then he's saying, oh yeah, well, actually we don't believe in that part of
Nabiya
Islam.
Ba'di.
Let's
We
talk about
believe,
this.
we
Let's talk
believe
about this.
he's the last Rasul,
yeah.
seal. He's the
I
seal
understand
of the
completely.
prophets.
I understand.
Now,
But not the messengers, because he didn't say the messengers. He said,
let me just make this point, yeah? So when you say that somebody has come as a seal, he's come to complete something, he's come to end it, he's come to conclude it, whatever synonym, whatever linguistical gymnastics we want to take, that means that there is no one that's needed after him.
let me ask you a
He
question.
is, let me just finish the point, yeah? He is the one,
I get you.
yeah?
Okay.
He's completed the message.
Sure.
Now, to say that, no, that message is incomplete, that means there is a deficiency in that message.
Sure.
Now somebody else pops along and says, no, we've bought a better message. Now I want to know what makes that message better.
I
So
understand.
far, I've tried to kind of push you on this. You keep saying unity, unity, unity.
Unity, diversity,
And,
system, an actual
there's
system.
nothing there.
Writings that talks about the harmony of science and religion, talks about the equality of men and women, which was never.
These
said
are
as a
all things you're
principle.
talking about Islam.
I know, but
Yeah.
never taught as a principle. In terms of what you said there about Khatar, because I feel I need to address that as well.
But the thing with this, Kaleem, is we only talk about Khatam
Yeah,
once we can pin down the prerequisites, the aqidah, the belief of the faith.
I understand.
Do you see? And I want to
Sure,
know,
what's going on?
before even entertaining that, I'm saying that, okay, let's just say we put the other stuff to the side.
Can I
What
ask you
are
a
you?
question? Let me ask you a question. At the time of Muhammad, they said, so when Muhammad talked about science to his people, what did they do? They put him down.
No.
They did. When he said
No.
that the earth revolves around the sun, they said to him, don't talk about this. This goes against our principles of what we believe in. So their mentality at that time, again, was like children. They still thought the world was flat. They were not.
Yeah, but that verse is not to those people. There's no evidence to suggest that they interpreted that verse to be that the earth was round.
Yeah, but a lot of them at that time still had a mentality like we don't have today. Would you agree with that?
Kaleem, obviously.
Obviously, there we go. So therefore, just to let you
Kaleem,
know.
I just want to know what
Sure.
you guys have bought that's special.
The harmony of science religion.
If you were to come to me,
the equality of men and women.
Kaleem, if you'd come to me, I would give you one thing after another after another. I wouldn't stop.
Sure.
You'll mention one or two things, and then that's it. You've paused.
The concept of justice and equality and a system that addresses that is a completely new thing. The system in which I told you over there about the different levels of the Baha'i institutions, that there's no priests and clergy, but there's a hierarchy of institutions, completely
That's
new.
just replacing
Completely
one
new over
form
time.
of clergy with another form of
The
clergy.
concept of consultation, how you talk to people.
Consultation is something mentioned in the Quran.
I know it is, but Baha'u'llah talks about this.
Kaleem.
Baha'u'llah
Give
talks
me
this
something
more.
new, mate.
This is completely. That's why I
No,
invite
it's
you
not
to
new.
the.
Sorry to interrupt, but are you just fighting over stories?
Not really. But as again,
You're
let me talk about Baha'u'llah.
He's not, no.
You're not Christian.
No, I'm Baha'i.
What's a Baha'i? Oh, that's the Buddhist kind of a Hindu.
No. So as Baha'is, we believe in the Bab and Baha'u'llah. We believe them to be the promised one of all.
I just totally hijacked our conversation there. Why don't we go ahead and end it here? That was enough. I think that was pretty interesting. This Baha'i thing is I don't know if y'all have heard about this or not before, but I first heard about this Elliot Hulse, who is a pretty big YouTuber I used to watch when I was a teenager. And he at the time was into Baha'i, and I just remember it from back then. I didn't really look into it, but I looked into it again recently because I thought I remember them saying something about Islam, and so I was curious what was their belief on Islam, and then I found out they actually agree. They say that they agree with Islam. They also agree with Christianity. They also agree with Judaism and Hinduism and Buddhism. They all agree. They agree with everything in that, but then they've created their own religion. As you can tell, that doesn't really make sense. You can't say Islam is true and then also create another religion, and you can't do that with Christianity either. You have to necessarily negate some parts of that faith in order to create a new faith. You have to change it somehow. You can't say 2 + 2 = 4 and also 2 + 2 = 5. That's not how it works. You need to pick one. You can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Okay, guys, so hopefully you found that conversation interesting. And may Allah bless you generously for watching this video with me. And inshallah, it brought you closer to Allah and increased your iman. And inshallah, we will see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.